This is episode 76 of Double Cross Anime, and we are here for the new batch of the current season shows, which is episode 7 of Hoshai no Shora, episode 7 of Beastar, episode whatever of Chihayafuru. I would say 7.
Yeah.
And episode 8
Eight.
of Blade of the Immortals. And then the next 3 batch of M48
Oh yeah.
from episode 7 to 9. Where our main girl got hit by the ball. By the soccer ball.
Yeah. I mean, not the
Jeez.
main girl.
Oh,
Madame Butterfly
Yeah,
got hit with
the,
the soccer ball.
that's right. In a tennis court.
Yeah, that was top tier comedy.
That was drama. That's some drama for you. I think we can go first with Chihayafuru.
Oh, I mean, did you read my post on it this week?
Sorry.
Did you read my post on it this week? Did you happen to read it?
I read like the first I think the first few sentences, but I know what you think about the shows.
Okay.
About the episodes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you read the first few sentences, then you know what I felt about it.
Yep.
I thought this episode sucked hard.
Alright.
How about you?
Well, I was about to say that I thought the same thing, but I just say that it is like my least favorite episodes of the show so far, and definitely it was.
Yeah, I just wasn't a fan of like anything that happened here. Chihaya opting to go on the class trip.
Does that make any sense to you?
No,
That's like the. Me too. Alright.
no, it does not. But the thing is, like we got the scene with her teacher in episode 2,
Right.
which seemed to have inspired her to like consider the path of becoming a high school teacher, so that she could also be a karate club advisor and stuff, because she's I mean, episode 1 starts with her at the training camp, where Sakurazawa is like obviously a big mentor to her, being the female player with who she's in like closest contact.
Yep.
So I mean, you can understand where her desire to go on the school trip comes from, because like she says in this episode, how can I become a teacher if I don't experience this? This is like a universal thing that all students go through, and how could I teach students if I haven't lived what they've lived? But why after winning your first Class A tournament and attracting the attention of like some of the luminaries of the Karuta world, why, when you are the biggest Karuta nut in the entire Japanese archipelago, why, when you're like riding the adrenaline and the momentum of such a massive victory, like why would you make that decision? And furthermore, why would you try to abandon the class trip midway through when you find out that your friend has gone to the tournament that you actually wanted to go to? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, but did she do that though? I think she won't abandon the trip.
Well, she won't, but she literally packed a
She willing
bag.
to though. Yeah. Well, we don't actually see her live yet though.
No, we don't, and I don't think she will. Because
Yep.
I think that this entire plot is just an excuse to isolate her, so that Taichi can like start his own arc, and Chihaya can feel left behind.
And
But
that's
it's like
such a
Go ahead.
Yep. Go on.
I just feel like that's like way too plain to see, way too transparent, way too obvious on the author's part, because I don't think that this is what Chihaya would do. And even if it were, the fact that she just spends the rest of the school trip like sulking and thinking about Karuta, thinking about Taichi and Arata, just demonstrates that this development uh, was
To force, right?
well,
Contrive.
yeah, just convenient, just the author pulling the strings.
Yeah, and that comes at a disappointment to me because I was really expecting the Queen title. Like I really really wanted to see Chihaya, play against others females for the Queen Challenger. So
Yeah,
it's such a massive letdown for me that she just decided not to play to enjoy the school life.
but she doesn't enjoy it even a little
Yeah,
bit.
and she even doesn't enjoy it. Oh God! But I think one good thing that can come from this school trip is that Chihaya might meet Shinobu because Shinobu is from Kyoto as well. Not as a like outside of the or of the Karuta games.
Well, I mean, maybe Shinobu is still at home. We see her at home with her mom in one of the final scenes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When Suo comes to her house, the Meijin.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but I mean, she's going to leave Kyoto to go to Tokyo, right? Isn't that where
Not
the
all right. Not necessarily because they're gonna play two tournaments, one in the north and one in the south, so one in Tokyo, and I would assume that the other one is in Kyoto.
ah
That the other one is where Arata gonna play for the King Challenger, and I think they gonna be like they play the two tournament in the north and in the south. They're gonna pick the winners. The winners gonna play together in order to become a king or queen challenger.
okay? Um, yeah. So Taichi's at the Tokyo tournament. I don't think we've gotten confirmation that the other one is in Kyoto.
Yeah, but I would assume so. Um, it just either Kyoto or Osaka. I'm just not sure that it's gonna be in Osaka though.
Okay. Well, then, yeah. I mean, if she's in Kyoto and that's where the other tournament is, then um, maybe she actually will go to the tournament, or at least see Shinobu as you've speculated.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that would be cool. More Shinobu is always welcome, especially at this point when Chihaya is just making decisions that I don't understand and also don't really enjoy.
I'm
Just
wholeheartedly agree with you on this.
just make Shinobu the main character. Actually,
Agree.
I just want all the side characters to be the main characters. Like Arata's childhood friend, Yu.
Oh my God, I
She's
she's so
awesome.
cute.
Yeah. The way that she makes
I do
food
think
for
that
him and stands outside his
yeah
house and kind of like banters with him a little bit. And she's like, "Come on, man, get your head on straight."
yeah. Well, I do find that the way that Arata know that it's her, not her mom's cooking, is a bit too on the nose. But oh my God, that girl is so cute. That girl is so it she's like 100 times better than Chihara.
Well, hold on. Let's not go that far. I mean, obviously, Chihaya is much better looking. Uh,
Well,
I mean, that's obviously in the eye of the beholder, but she, all the characters are constantly commenting on her looks and like after she wins the tournament and she's resting on that bench, some of
yep,
the older
yep,
women who are talking to her, her coach, her teacher at the
yep.
Karachi Society. They're like, oh, and she's such a beauty as well. It would be wonderful to have her on TV playing in the Queen match. And then Kana is like, oh, I'm glad that she comes off that way to strangers because this is how she really looks. And then you
Yeah,
see the image of her like totally bonked out.
grueling. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I love Kana as well. She's just a great character. Whew.
yeah. I mean, she can be, but I find that too often she just spends an episode like being Tai Chi's cheerleader, and being like, man, I really hope that he and Chihaya were gonna make some progress on the school trip, or something like that.
Yeah,
I'd like for
I
her to
think that
have her own stuff to do.
yeah, I think that's true for her in this seasons because like her whole act in this season is to like to supporting Taichi for Chihara. But she have like a lot of other quality as well. So like she wanted to be a announcer. Is that like how you call a person who
A reader.
announce the reader? Yeah, I I found that really interesting.
Yeah, I would love an arc about that. Like just a miniature arc that pops up maybe like 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be more than that, but I think that would be great because that's another way of exploring the Karuto world without, just featuring match after match.
Right. Um. Um. I be fair, but I'm not that looking forward to like seeing Tai Chi with going through the king tournament
Oh,
stuff.
no?
Not really.
Okay.
I like girl. I like queen. I like the queen title much more. I found that the female characters in Chihayafuru are much more interesting than the male counterparts.
Oh, I like all the characters pretty much, except for like
So
Chihaya right now.
don't call me sexist or anything, but
I
I'm not
mean, you might
I'm not
change.
looking forward at all.
You might change your mind when you see what like because Suo, the Meijin,
Yep.
pops up near the end of the episode. So obviously he's going to factor into the story pretty soon.
Hopefully. All
Yeah.
right.
So we maybe Taichi will be driven to beat him, or will create there's be some sort of rivalry between the
Oh,
two or something.
all right. You actually do expect he gonna be like a 8 king challengers?
Who, Taichi?
Like so he Tai Chi gonna go all the way to
No.
play.
No, I don't
Right.
think that he's going to end up in the king match, but I do think that he'll probably end up, meeting with Suo or talking with him or
Right. Got it.
whatever.
Gotcha.
Because Suo is what he says at the very end of the episode to Shinobu is, why don't we go and like crank up the tension, or why don't we go make things interesting?
Mm.
Just by like they're going to go scope out the competition and just kind of assert their presence at the tournament where someone is attempting to challenge them.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
probably going to see Taichi. Well, I don't know, because now you've made with your whole theory about like they're going to Kyoto,
Yeah.
the other tournaments in Kyoto. Maybe Suo won't be at the same one as Taichi. I don't know.
Yeah. We don't know that for sure.
I mean, at the very least, I think Suo's presence means that the Meijin side of things will be more interesting. Like it won't just be the queen one that
Wait.
has the only intrigue.
Right. Maybe show will affect Arata because he have a bit of a slump lately.
Yeah,
Maybe.
losing in the top 8 of the what's it called tournament?
Yep.
Yoshino tournament.
Mhm.
Definitely not what he expected or wanted. Because
Right.
then he wasn't able to play against Chihayafuru.
Yeah, that I should be there in the match, and then
Yeah, I didn't like
yep.
the whole Taichi and Arata thing in this episode either, dude. Where Arata's like, Chihaya doesn't belong to anyone.
Yep.
I'm like,
I shouldn't have said that and all that stuff. I just nah, not for me.
well, I mean, I was really disappointed by this episode, but I mean, I still think there's plenty of fun stuff that the show can do. Like even if Chihaya is not present, and even if the reason that she's not present doesn't make a lot of sense to me, there's still plenty of other characters. The show's still good at depicting Karuta matches.
All right.
So it can still do plenty of stuff to keep us entertained going forward. I just,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
just not a
All
fan
right.
of this one.
There's one thing that I wanna ask though, because I don't think that the show actually announce it or say it. Remember the final match, not in not in Group A but in Group B.
Yeah.
Who
Retro
who
versus
won
the
that?
dad or the husband.
Yeah, who actually won this though?
I don't. If the show said, I don't remember.
Yeah. The
Uh,
show didn't mention anything.
okay. Well, I mean, if whoever won would be advanced to Class A. So
Hmm.
we'll probably
We're gonna find
see.
out.
Yeah, we'll see one of them in the. Is it only Class A players who can take part in the Meijin and Queen matches, or?
Yeah, only Class A gonna be yep, being the challenger. Yep,
Okay.
that's right.
Well, then we'll find out. Because one of them will be there.
Yep, that's true. All right. So a massive disappointment from the episode. I think it just more like, oh, I'm worried about where it's heading.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of am, but at the same time, like the main thing that I think this affects is all the non-Karuta related stuff that the show wants to do with Chihaya's character, like her making up her mind about like what college to go to and what her future plans will be and stuff. When those story elements pop back up, I'm going to remember this episode and how she like flaked on all of that just to like obsess over Karuta. So I feel like the show kind of shot itself in the kneecaps with regards to that specific, um, you know, like plot thread. Uh, as far as the Karuta related stuff goes, like I think it can still get it done.
Right. All
Hopefully.
right. Yep. All right. So let's move on to the next show. I'm thinking of Plate of the Immortals.
Okay.
All right. This
Episode
is
8.
a yeah. This is an ugly episode.
Ugly in what way?
In in a way that they have like a team grip, which I don't think say much. I
Um,
I I, ju- I just don't. Uh, all right. I'm a bit mixed about that basically.
ah, I mean, I think it says much.
Right.
I thought it was very difficult to watch,
Yep.
but I think it says a lot about Shira,
Hmm.
the perpetrator.
Yep.
However, like I don't feel as though he's being characterized particularly well, and that's just because of the clip at which the story is moving. What we're
Yep.
getting from him mostly is kind of snideness.
Hmm.
At well, like what the scene where he walks in on Manji with his head in Rin's lap. He just kind of like laughs at the two of them.
Hmm.
Um, Probably because he has not had that sort of close contact with anyone himself.
Hmm.
Um, I have to imagine that he did not like form a secure relationship with his parents growing up, and perhaps the people like if they took care of him or the people who did take care of him they just weren't like guiding him or bringing him along as a child. He was maybe left to his own devices, and so as a result, like he doesn't empathize with people. So he just does what he wants essentially, and looks down on people who follow the rules or who do find closeness.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, he's my little spiel there aside. He's nuts. He's insane. And the woman who is not the leader of the Mugai Ryu, but like seems to be
Yep.
their spokesman, Hyakurin.
Hmm.
She knows that he's like off the deep end.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Like, yeah, it was hard to watch.
Yeah, that's make me just wonder what is the deal that Kagehisha, what he's thinking right now.
He's
I
thinking,
do
I
think
got
that
through the
is,
gate. I tricked him with all these prostitutes.
whew, all right. It's not very nice.
No, it's terrible. But is everyone in the show is terrible
Right.
mostly. Um, I mean, I haven't felt. I don't think that the scene with Shira at the end and the prostitute. I don't think it was pure shock value.
Yep.
Because he's doing to the body double what he did to the prostitute from the previous episode,
Right.
who was interested in the member of the Ito Ryu, whose name I forget, like the guy with the spiky hair.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Um,
I don't remember his name either,
so
but
it
I know who you're talking about. Yep.
yeah, I mean it visually it echoes that moment because he immobilizes her with the same technique, putting the sword through her hands above her head.
Yep.
And not only does it call back to that moment, he's also like setting himself against Rin, because
Mhm.
even though she wants revenge, she's against cruelty and against violence, and especially against sexual violence, given what happened to her mother with her as a witness. Um,
Mhm.
so she makes the attempt on his life. Um,
Mhm.
And I thought that it was kind of unfortunate that Manji had to intervene because Rin is not at the point yet where she can take someone
Strong
like,
enough
yeah,
yeah, she can be strong enough to stand for herself.
yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case. I mean, I understand that it's hard to know how much time has passed because we're getting time skips here and there.
Hmm. Yep.
But yeah, she's not going to be able to keep up with a really experienced samurai at this point. But I mean,
Mm.
all of this is to say that I don't think that the scene was like pointless or needless or anything like that. I think it
Yep.
said something important about Chira's character, and it gave Rin the opportunity to make a very strong stance against this sort of violence, which is
Yep.
important because her character is obsessed with revenge. Um,
Right.
so she's obviously that's planning to change, I think.
Yep.
Um,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, I do see your point. I yeah, I just think it's just tad bit too much. It's certainly hard to watch.
Yeah,
It certainly doesn't. I feel a bit. It doesn't need to be that gruesome on on the poor on the poor geisha, on the poor prostitute. But I do think that it's a point. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and another thing is, and I mean, this also goes back to what we were talking about with Chihayafuru.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not something serves a point in the story, I mean, you can kind of grasp that when it happens, but ultimately, it's when you look back at the series as a whole that you can
Mm-hmm.
identify like the critical moments,
Right.
and once we get to the end, this is two core because it's planning on adapting an entire like 200 plus chapter manga. Um, it's once we get to the end and we look back at this scene, we'll be able to identify for sure. What was the scene necessary? Was it important? I think it will be.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I was uncomfortable watching it in a way that I haven't been watching anime
Mm-hmm.
in a long
Mm-hmm.
time. So I think
Yep.
even that is, I mean, the show got the response that it wanted. So I think it succeeded. I think that I would say
Right.
that it succeeded. Uh,
I yep. I do think that it's supposed to make us feel disgust.
yeah,
So I think it have a point, and it's supposed to make Green feel disgust as well. So that
yes,
she have to think between like revenge all the way, or standing up for what she think is wrong. which she actually did. Incapable of, but she actually this stand for herself. So yeah, I think that is one of the uh, s- stepping point for Rin as well, at, as shaping her uh her justice, so to speak.
Yeah. Um, boy, it was gruesome, man. You know
Yeah,
the little content warning that shows up on the screen before the
I
episode?
I yep, I was expecting that. I didn't really expecting that to be that this, you know,
Yeah. Well,
because
I mean, that thing always shows
it
up.
yeah, it goes on and on.
Yeah. Oh, I mean the show definitely earned its content warning with this episode.
Right,
Because
right.
in the previous one, in episode 7, we just see the aftermath of what happens. We don't see the woman being killed. We just see,
Yep,
you know,
yep,
her pose in death.
yep.
In this one, we get all the gruesome details.
And yeah, and it actually hinted to that the previous episode, like what he had done to the girl.
Was it? I didn't. I mean, it kind of makes
Yeah,
sense to me that he would have, you know,
he would have.
he would have raped her.
Yeah,
But I didn't. I mean, I know there was a conversation between her, you know, her madam or her master, the woman who
mm-hmm.
runs the house,
Yep.
and the guy from the Ito Ryu.
Madame Butterfly.
I remember there was a conversation between the two of them, but I don't remember there being any sort of reference to sexual violence.
I would assume that with his characters, he will do that every time he have his hands on the girls.
Yeah,
So I would say he do that.
yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean,
Wow.
I mean, maybe
But
it's better
he
that the show doesn't confirm it.
Yep,
You
yep,
know,
that's right. Um, did he get away with that though? I mean,
He-
did we see him get killed by
no, he
Manchi?
ran away.
Not yet, right? He ran away. Right.
He got one of his hands cut off.
Yep, yep.
Um,
I remember that part.
and then he ran away. And like Manji does not pursue him. So I thought about that a little bit, and like maybe his priority is making sure that Rin is safe,
He's more. Yep.
or maybe like he's immortal, so his sense of mortality, his sense of danger is different from everyone else's. Like he's like his sense of self-preservation is different. He doesn't feel the need to eliminate an enemy before they can come back and kill him because he can't die.
Yep. Yep.
So
that's true.
yeah.
And I do think that he doesn't necessarily consider Shira as an enemy yet, so he doesn't need to kill him yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Manji is a quote unquote he's a protagonist in the series, but
Mhm.
yeah, his obviously the whole conceit of Blade of the Immortal is that he is the only reason he's offering his service as a bodyguard is so that he can kill like evil men in order to atone for all the good men that he killed. It's easy for that to get lost in this adaptation because it's moving so fast, but
Yep.
that's like the backdrop of Blade of the Immortal as a whole is
Mhm.
that he's looking to atone for all the you know the sins he's committed in the past. So I don't know. I mean,
And I
go ahead.
yeah, and I do think that is except from protecting Green, his mindset is not that far different from Shira as well. So by that I mean that he doesn't really care about the prostitute as well
Yeah,
himself. He just like leave her there, let her be.
yeah. He says Rin says, "Is she gonna live?" He says, "It's up to chance." You know,
Yep.
maybe she will, maybe she won't. Yeah, he does kind of have an uncaring, like amoral um, aspect to his character.
Mhm.
I mean, I kind of think that's interesting,
Mhm.
but we're not getting a full sense of it again because of the speed of the adaptation. I
Yeah.
just feel like there's a lot more to Manji and Rin's relationship, to Manji's like there's just more to every character that we don't know or that we can't quite grasp. I think all the episodes so far have been, you know, pretty well strung together.
Mhm.
But I just feel like they're, you know, director's cuts would be helpful, you know? Like
Uh,
it feels like
well, I
there's so
actually,
much material and it's like edited down.
yep, I can see your point, but I actually think that is actually um a successful adaptation if they can, like just portray a character just about enough. So like they have enough reason for us to care about, and they still hint of something that we want to learn more about them basically. So I think with that in mind, I think the show does a pretty good job on that.
Yeah, I mean,
The,
I definitely see where you're coming from, and I agree. But at the same time, I think that the best characters that this show has offered us so far are some of the one-off samurai
that, that's true.
who
That
Manji and
that
Rin
is
have
true.
encountered on their travels, and I don't think like that's backwards. It's great that those characters made such an impact,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I feel like actually we're on different sides of this argument than when we were like last week or 2 weeks ago. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because but previously, when we were still in kind of the episodic portion of the series, I was like,
Yep.
all we need is a reason to care. You know, if the show does that, it's done its job. Um,
Yep.
and now we've kind of flipped on that, I think. But like for example, the establishing scene in this episode, right after the opening theme, we
I,
we cut back to the show and they're in the room and Manji is asking questions about the Mugai Ryu and their purpose and all the information they have on Onotsu and where he's planning to travel and how they got this information. Like the way that he asks those questions makes me feel like it's a super condensed version of a much longer
mm-hmm.
conversation from the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and if we had gotten that full conversation over the course of it, we would have gotten a lot of panels of different characters expressing themselves or thinking something to themselves
Mm-hmm.
that were just totally missing from this. You know, so what we got basically was Manji asking a question, Hyakurin answering, and all that passes is information.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I don't know. I still think the show's good, but it's
To condense.
yeah, it feels condensed. Some of the characters aren't quite being propped up the way they need to be. I think
Right.
I still like it
Well, yep, I still like it a lot. All right. Um, Time to move on to the next show.
already.
All right. Let's go with Beastars.
Okay, this is the best episode of Beastars so far.
All right. Oh, I'm glad that you actually liked these episodes.
Well, I don't like the
Tell me
whole
more about
thing.
that.
I like the
All
first
right.
5 minutes.
The first 5 minutes, you like the ultimate, the spin off.
Yeah, I unironically think that that is the best part of Beastars so far. Just that story with Legom,
Yep.
the chicken. I loved
All
it.
right. I actually also enjoy that the most out of this whole episodes.
It was clearly the best, and it's because her character is so strong right out of the gate. Like
Yep.
she's hardworking, she's
Yep.
observant because she notices, what's going on with Legosi, and
Yep.
how his kind of evaluation of the eggs is changing
Yep.
over time. She's also
Yep.
prideful, like she's conceited.
Yep.
She's kind of a loner. She rejects the opportunity to go out and spend time with friends in order to keep the quality of her work consistent. Like her character is so clearly defined and is so
Yep.
entertaining that the everything having to do with her is just awesome.
Yep.
And she goes through her own arc in like 5 minutes.
Yep. And
She's like it's
look at the way she just heartbroken when Legacy says he doesn't enjoy the egg sandwiches anymore.
yeah.
That's
So that's like
that's so
kind of the
priceless.
yeah, and then she learns that you know, her hard work was not in vain. It was just the date switch, you know,
Yep.
on the seller's part. Like, and then she goes back to being like confident and feeling, you know, like justified in her passion. It dude, like no other character in Beastars has gotten this sort of clear effective development yet in 7
Yep.
episodes. And Legom
Yep.
did.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I don't even know the reason why they put like all these, animals, all these students, sitting by alphabetical order. That's so
Um
absurd to begin with.
huh. Yeah, that is kind of absurd. Like, wouldn't you? Yeah, I don't know.
Um, I don't know about American system. In uh, Back when I was still studying in Vietnam, we always put in the alphabetical orders of all the students when we do the like the final exams. So
Ah,
that so just that we don't know the guy next to us in order to ask.
okay. When I mean, I don't remember as far back as high school, but in university when we were taking paper tests, they would
Right.
create like 3 different versions of the test, all the same questions but in a different order.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's yep.
so like
Mm-hmm.
everyone was allowed to sit where they wanted, you know, but they would distribute them like A, B, C, A, B, C. So you couldn't just look at the
Right.
person's multiple choice
Yep.
sheet
Yep.
next to you
Yep.
because
Yep. Yep.
it wouldn't work.
Yep. Well, that would have been much better options.
I
All
mean, but
right.
you could
Back
still
to
turn. Yeah. Let's forget about this. Yeah, that's. It's. I guess it's kind of weird that they're in alphabetical order, but I mean, I don't know what's going on in this
uh,
Japanese slash animal
yep.
society.
All right. I actually get the feeling that I got the whole in of this series based on these episodes.
You have a hold of it.
Yeah. So I can see like how to basically like how to approach it because I feel like the show is more like a quick melodrama play.
Really?
So yeah, so that like in this episode alone, we can see like how all the 4 characters, the relationship between the 4 main characters.
Who's the
Um,
fourth?
but all right, Juno, Louis and Juno. We can see like how everyone keep pushing. Sorry, not Legacy and Juno. How everyone keep pushing Legacy for Juno because they are like the same race. They can be attracted to each other, and Juno actually feel the same way with Legacy, and Legacy just blew it off. He just have Harry in his mind. We also see the relationship between Haru and Louis, which is more like only physical thing. Louis rely on Haru because Haru know nothing about his like social standing, so that
Yeah.
Louis can be relaxed and like be vulnerable, like just be himself. He doesn't have to put on any act. Haru, on the other hand, I think, well, based from the dream sequence before like before we see that they having sex, she trying to reach some sort of like intimacy to the others, but she always like failed to reach that as well. So basically, what I mean, and then we have like Legacy in Haru, which is his attraction to Haru is more of the hunting instinct. So basically, what I said here is like all of these relationship for me, for now, when I see about it, it's not gonna end well in any of the relationship.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
And so that's why I compare that into that of a Greek clay, so that that everything gonna be downhill from here. So that they and they have something to do with the play as well. So like you see like Legushi reaction towards the end of the episodes. It's more like a play performance than any real performance.
You were talking about the scene where he busts the paint tubes all over his hand and then smears it on his face for some reason.
And announce that and announce that this is love that I'm feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that scene was bizarre. It's definitely not love, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that's love, but I think the way the show is spread his feeling is more like like overreact, like he was in a play, not in the theater, not in like normal situation that we always see in anime.
Yeah, but I don't think that's something that you should be striving for. Like having your
Oh
characters
yeah,
act as though they're on a stage. I mean, not without very specific direction.
yeah. Well, I just I do think that like only on the big moment, on the moment that they they announce their feeling, it's constructed like a play. That's what I get the feeling right now. So like when Legacy burst out with Bill few episode ago, it also like within the play.
Okay. Well, cool.
All right.
I don't. I
So
mean, I
that
think
my
that
take.
nice. I feel like I feel like it's a TV show. Like we get the flashback as you mentioned, which was in an entirely different format. And I think the way they achieved that effect
Right.
was
Yep.
they did animate everything using the same 3D engine, and then they traced over it because
Huh.
the shots of Haru specifically within that dream sequence, there aren't many because it's mostly a point of view thing. But when we
Yep.
do see her, like if you pause the frame, it just looks exactly like she does in quote unquote reality when she's in 3D.
All right.
So anyway, like I was really interested in that dream sequence. Um, she, I'm still baffled about Haru's character because like she is trying to, yeah, she's trying to achieve intimacy, I guess, through
Right.
sex, and it's not working because she describes it as like a solemn, quiet, beautiful, and cold forest, and I don't. I mean, it's tempting to view that as a metaphor for Louis himself because
Mhm.
when like she's reaching out and trying to touch these tree branches, but they're turning to water, so she's not able to grasp them. And then the transition that brings us back to reality is the tree branches as his antlers.
Yep.
So the forest that she's walking through, you would think would be Louis. Like she's the ways in which she's intimate with him are the forest that she's trying to navigate in order to reach him. But she says there's no warm and loving place for me here. So I think she recognizes that he is not really attached to her.
Yeah.
As he says,
But
like I have a fiance.
yeah, that's
You
that's
know.
right. The same thing can be said for Louis as well, because he have a fiance. We have like he have you he has like a whole future planned out for him already, and Haru is more like of an escape, so that
She's
he
what?
can like Haru is more of an escape for
Oh.
Louis,
Yeah.
so that he can he can be himself. He doesn't need to put on a mask, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean the antlers, that's the thing that brings us back to reality when the two of them are in bed together.
Yep.
That's also the basis of, or not the basis, but the starting point of their relationship.
Yep.
When he lost his antlers, I thought that was pretty interesting. That he shed his
Yep.
antlers and like the blood is running down his face, and that's when she meets him when he's at his most vulnerable, which is why their
Yep.
relationship has continued and developed the way that it has.
That's right. Yep.
So
Um.
why is Haru sleeping around? Is it to fill the void of his eventual departure because she knows that this thing is not going to last forever? Is it just because she like is a rabbit and that's what they do? Is it just because she
Well,
like I
I
still don't know.
right. My take for now that she want to read intimacy through like through having sex, so she trying to connect with people. That's just what my take though. I'm also glad that actually this episode doesn't really focus on the carnivore and herbivore. So this is like basically like the first time in ever that we have doesn't need to mention about that team.
Yeah, I mean it's not made explicit. I mean it. I mean it's still there because everyone's
Yeah.
trying to push Legacy and Juno together because they're, you know,
The same species.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that they're both carnivores, as opposed
Right.
to the herbivore rabbit Haru that he's interested in. But yeah, I mean I agree that it wasn't. It's more that he and Juno are the same, quote unquote race that
Yep.
people want to push them together. Um, and I feel like the way that Beastars is set up with the whole carnivore herbivore thing, what could be most closely paralleled with something more human and more meaningful in this episode, just because people like they want to see two like animals paired together.
Mhm.
I really don't think that much about Juno as a character. When you said like the four main characters, I don't consider her to be a main character at all.
Yeah, but she's set up to be like the four wheeled.
Yeah, she's definitely the fourth wheel, but the entire you know third wheel or fourth wheel dichotomy is that those people are not main characters.
Yep. Yep. That's true. Well, um, so actually, I think the show worked better for me now if I just consider the show as a romance with the carnivore and herbivore team on top.
I don't know. Will it be that though? Because Beastars just basically just does whatever it wants every week.
Yeah, yeah, true. Well,
And I also don't
but
really care for the romance very much at all. Like, dude,
yeah,
the scene where Louis and Haru were in bed together,
yep,
I was like,
goosebump.
uh, definitely not that. I was just like, I was uncomfortable in the way that I was when Shira
Oh yeah, all right,
was assaulting the prostitute.
Try,
Like, I don't want to see two
right,
animals in bed together like that. That's weird, dude.
all right. I was thinking about that as well. So I was thinking like, but on the opposite, reaction with you because I don't feel disturbed by that. So I was thinking like if like the instead of two human, it's like two animal doing the sexual activity. They
As
could get away with
humans,
that. They could get away with that actually at human
yeah.
because I
It grossed me out, to be
because
honest. Like, I don't know if that makes me just like a pleb or whatever, but
all right.
I was like, I never want to see this again.
Yep. Well,
Ugh.
jeez.
But it's fine. I mean, I thought the dream sequence was really interesting.
All right. Yeah, I thought so too. And now, when I think back about that, remember last week when I told you about how how I guess in the future Legacy gonna eat eat Haru alive.
I don't remember you saying that, but okay.
All right.
You think
I
he's
I
literally
I
gonna eat her alive?
no. So yeah, because of the love thing, like I said, like in the OP we see like Legoshi and Haru dancing together, and then Legoshi were whipping with like a pool of blood at the end of the OP. So I take that like maybe it's the love for Haru. That was the instinct. That was the hunting instinct that he would eat Haru alive. But now this week I actually changed my mind. I think Legacy gonna eat Louis alive. He gonna eat someone alive.
Don't
But
you
I
really? Don't you feel as
yeah.
though the show is like obviously, like super obviously going to go the route of, you know, oh no, I'm a master. I'm my own. I'm in control of myself. I'm the master of my instincts. I'm gonna be my own person. Individuality. I'm not gonna conform to what people expect of me. I'm not gonna be a monster. Just all those cliches. Like
Oh,
I'm not
all
gonna.
right. I don't even rule out. You remember the guy from the very first moment of the very first episode gonna be eaten alive. I don't rule out him as well. So maybe Legacy was the one who ate him alive.
Oh, I forgot that even happened.
Right.
I forget who got eaten. It was like the male sheep or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, his name is Temp.
Okay. Yeah, and then we see Legacy talking to his girlfriend,
Yep.
who we haven't seen at all recently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
I mean, the show as kind of like a murder mystery, that kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah. Well, it feels like a murder mystery at the first 30 seconds of the show, and then it doesn't function as a murder mystery at all.
I mean, shouldn't that event have shaken the school so like
It
so
it
much
did a little bit.
that I mean, wouldn't the after effects of that still be felt? I remember, like, for example, reading the Harry Potter books when something
Yep.
would go on at the school, um,
Yep.
and some like people like suspected Harry of doing it or something, for like chapters and chapters and chapters that would be like hanging over the plot because that's all anyone is talking about. That's all they're speculating about. That's all that the main
Mhm.
character can think about. Like, I feel as though everybody, the show, maybe not everybody has moved on from that, but the show at least has moved on from it. And now that you
Right.
said that and reminded me that happened, I'm thinking, wait a second, like that
We
was a
we still don't know
massive,
the culprit. Yeah.
that was a massive event. Like, even I don't even care that much about like knowing who the criminal is, having the mystery answered. I just think that it ought to be impacting the characters more than
Yeah.
it is. But whatever. I mean, if I forgot about it, then let's just pretend
Yeah.
that I
Well,
still have not remembered.
I actually remember Lenlo mentioned about that when he read the manga. He said like there was a murder mystery at the end, and after 3 volumes, that's still nowhere to be mentioned, nowhere to be seen.
I wonder if it ever gets
Yeah, I
answered.
wonder too. I think it will come back, but like at the very tail end of the story. So it's like a bookend.
That seems weird to me.
Yeah. Well, all right.
I don't know.
Let's move on to the last one then. If you have any other note
I mean,
on
I
the
only have
show.
I only have one more thing to say about
Uh,
Beastars, and that's
yep,
that
yep, yep.
I
Good.
do this for the dignity and pride of all chickens.
She's the best.
I know. She's my favorite character in the show.
Oh my god. Oh my
I
god.
I
She's so
wish that we
charming.
were doing the state of the season post like this week so that I could put
Yeah.
Legom as best girl.
Yeah. She's so charming. All right. All right. The next show is Hoshiai no Shora,
Yeah.
which all right. I read a bit how you feel about the show in your blog. So
Oh yeah.
you don't like the first half, and you prefer the second half rather
Pretty
than the first half.
pretty much. Yeah. I mean, how did you feel about the
I
resolution of the
all
tennis
right.
match or whatever? Just how'd you like the episode?
I feel the whole thing is just same me for me.
Oh
It
yeah.
too yeah it's a bit it run a bit like a standard sport show for me right now. We have like an entire first half of the match that I don't think would matter much in the long run because it's just like a practice match and all this. Oh, and we know how it's gonna be play out as well. Um, the latter when they go for barbecue, I think it's just alright. I would expect more.
Hmm.
Especially I feel the way that the other guy, the prince, whatever his name is,
His
joined the
name is.
club and be, yep.
Sorry, I cut myself off so that I wouldn't interrupt.
Yeah. So his name was.
Oh, his name is literally Prince. It's Oji,
Oh,
which means prince.
all right. Jesus. All right. So we got and so I don't really I can see why he become friendly with all these people, but that happened too quickly. It happened like within a snap of the fingers.
Um, I I hear what you're saying, but I don't think I agree because when he
Right.
approaches them,
Mhm.
everyone else is like clearly on guard around him, but it's Maki who just acts friendly with him and normal.
Right.
And
Isn't it predictable though?
what do you mean that
It's
Maki acts that way and that the rest of the team kind of follows suit?
yep, yep,
Yes,
yep.
I would say that
All
that is.
this.
I would say that that is predictable, and I would say that's not a bad thing because it's consistent.
Oops. Yep.
It's consistent with their behavior. At this point, the
Mhm.
team is looking to Maki for guidance
Right.
at pretty much every turn. So the way that he sets the tone for them, not only athletically, in matters of tennis, but also socially,
Mhm.
is clear. Like for example, Itsuki when he goes in like between these two parts that we're talking about, between the tennis match and the barbecue at the end. Um,
Mhm.
there are a few scenes set like practice kind of scenes set at school, and Itsuki, the boy with the burns on his back, comes into the locker
Yep.
room and changes and like exposes that part of himself for the first time. Everyone falls silent, but it's Maki who just strikes up like a normal conversation with him, like, hey, I thought
Mhm.
of a cool trick play, do you want to practice it, you know um,
Mhm.
and yeah, Maki. I mean, perhaps the issue is that Maki is like way too. I don't
Overpower.
know. Yeah, yeah, pretty much like way too perfect. Like to put more of a clear label on it. He's too adept. Like he's too socially adept. He's
Mhm.
too. He's too much of a tennis prodigy. I remember speculating very early on that he was lying and he actually did have tennis experience, and this was a con that he was running in order to get money. But just as we were talking about in Beastars that the murder mystery has faded out of it, in
Mhm.
Hoshiai no Sora, the money aspect has kind of faded out of it in recent
That
episodes.
that's right. Actually, your theory can still stand out. Remember, like the time that Maki's father come up, he saw a racket and he said like it's bring back memory. So they might have some history.
Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah. He did say that. I remember that. I remember I was about to bring that up on the podcast, but I forgot.
Okay, so was this episode 1 when he does this, or is this like
No,
episode
no, no,
4 or
no.
5?
That the episode where he wrecked the racket, so that would be 4 or 5.
That's 4 at the very end. Maybe the post credit
Yep,
scene or just the last scene in episode 4 is where he breaks a racket. 5 is when
yep,
he comes to the house and Toma
yep.
is there. Okay, wow.
Check back on that because
Yeah.
I remember he said like it's bring back memories.
Damn. Okay, if
If
he says that, then that just makes me feel really good because I was right about
yeah, but
him actually Maki actually being a tennis player. And
but Maki still assert that he only played tennis for a month, even to in these episodes.
yeah, I mean, something is definitely up with him. he's got all this stuff hanging over him in his family life and his private life, but he's able to act so as like he's able to
Carefree.
yeah well he's just able to take on this leadership role
Yep.
rather than being like kind of a quiet observer who's like kind of fearful and is looking to slip into the path of least resistance. That's how I would expect him to be acting at at school outside of his house, because he's been conditioned to be afraid by the way he was brought up. But instead, he acts way differently than that. So I'm thinking I always hate doing this because it's like really I hate to label characters with personality disorders because that's just kind of lazy in a sense. But I feel like Maki is like mentally atypical. Something is clearly different about him. Like normal people, I do not think would process things the way that he does and would not be capable of the things that he is.
All right. Do you mean that in a good sense?
No.
Right.
I mean, it's nice that Maki is accepting. Like he's sensitive to the emotional needs of others. For example, Yuta, the gay club manager,
Yep.
and like he's willing to accept Oji at the barbecue, and he reaches out to Itsuki in the locker room, and he's like a model. He's like a role model. But it almost feels wrong that he acts that way. How could he act that way, given what else we know about him?
Yep.
So wow, dude, you just blew my mind when you said that about episode 4. I have to go back and look that up. So he's specifically the tennis racket is the shot that the show holds on, and then the dad says that brings back memories.
And then he wrecked the rackets. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I
man.
remember.
Okay. Well, if you're wrong, I'm going to be really sad, but I'm going to go back and watch that.
One thing that I really I like about the second half was Toma, who actually doesn't join in with the rest, and he feel left out. He doesn't feel like doesn't feel confident enough to engage in like conversation with others.
Yeah.
I think that's a good like characters writing here. I don't know if this gonna be like the beginning of the rift between the partnership between Maki and Toma. I don't think that's gonna be the case though. But that's something interesting that that maybe OG gonna take over Maki instead of Toma.
What do you mean? Like OG's going to change schools?
No, OG gonna just keep hanging around, keep hanging and give like basically put like Maki into his side, not Toma. So put Maki further away from Toma.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like get between them,
Yep.
just in terms of their friendship.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I did enjoy. I enjoyed a lot of the stuff at the barbecue, and that's why I said, or why I think that it was clearly the better of the two halves. Because I liked Toma feeling unable to join the conversation and saying, like confiding in Yuta, which I also thought was interesting because obviously Yuta wants to get closer to him. Toma says sometimes he feels like he's twisted. His whole situation at home, his relationship with his mom, his dad seems to be absent. Like I'm so curious about that, So yeah, we got another little piece of the puzzle here. We also have Kanako, the girl who's always hanging around, who is like kind of pointless. We got some information about her. Like she has food, some kind of food related issue. Like I don't know if it's body image related, or I mean because the shot that we got with the, like kind of the spotlight effect on her was
Mhm.
of her in a crowded classroom.
Yep.
Um,
I think it's more like she have an issue with connecting with other people more than like body image. But I could be wrong here.
yeah,
All right,
I considered. Go ahead.
I just sent you the screenshot actually.
I saw that.
Um,
How do I view
but
this thing? Wait, I do this, and let me take this. A, no. He says a club, huh? That brings back memories,
yeah,
like being in a club, an
yeah.
after
So
school
being in a
club.
club, so that's like in a bit different context. But yeah,
Yeah. Oh, dude.
whew,
Now I'm crushed. That's not what I expected at all. Oh well,
all right.
man. If he, ah, I don't want him to be this like super prodigy. Him asking for money was like what one of the main things that got me interested in this show. Like
Yeah,
the fact that like Maki is the twisted one, or was until he became Mr. Perfect. But anyway,
yeah,
uh, what were we talking
yeah.
about? Yeah. I mean, it
About
could
the
just
girl.
be like a social thing, Kaneko's issue. Like she doesn't like eating in the classroom because then she is surrounded by people who are all talking to one another, having a good time, and she's alone. Um, yeah, I mean, it's probably that.
Yep. And do you remember like the end of the episodes?
Yes, with the parent who called in.
It Yeah. Um.
Who
So
do you
so
think it
they're
is?
gonna be like the parent complaining about them still practicing on the weekend. I just I'm not too confident about that development.
What do you mean?
I feel it. I feel it force. I feel like this is like they creating an issue just for the sake of
Oh,
giving the club some hard time.
oh, I definitely don't agree because we've
All
gotten
right.
plenty of time with the parents. Like we've seen Rintaro's mom, his adoptive mother.
Yeah,
We've
actually
got
that's true. Yeah.
we've gotten plenty of time with Toma's. Well, not plenty of time. We've gotten some time with Toma's mom. We know about. I mean, this call is kind of interesting because it could be from Maki's father in an attempt to disrupt the club. It could be from Toma's mother, who thinks that her son is like not giving it his all. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
she has decided to process this as well. The club just needs to, if he can't keep up
It's
with the
bad.
club, then we just need to,
Yep.
I don't know, like reduce their workload or whatever. She could be doing this out of some. She could be like believe that she's helping,
Hmm.
when in reality she's
Hmm.
doing the opposite. Um,
Yep.
I mean, it could be one of the kids' other parents, and it wouldn't. I don't think it would feel out of left field or anything because the show has. Dude, what are you doing with your mic?
Oh, I just changed my seat. All right.
Uh, I don't like the show has given a lot of attention to different parents. So at this point, it could be anybody, and I think it would
Yep.
still feel pretty normal.
Yep. 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 So it's more like the fight between the adult versus their children.
Yeah, yeah, potential for some sort of rift to develop, some sort of conflict to arise,
Yep.
and I think we've
All
seen plenty of
right.
that already. So more of it
Yep.
would
All
feel
right.
normal, at least to me.
I think we can just talk briefly about how you feel about the first half, the match.
Oh, whatever. I thought it was boring.
Do you even care like who gonna win in the match?
I mean, I was predicting Maki to win because he just wins everything and he's the best ever. But instead they get totally swept by the other school.
All right, not swept though. They actually for the match in tennis, to end it with the like the ball that just hit the net and just barely got over to the other opponent side is like one of the for me is one of the lamest win ever. in
Oh
tennis,
yeah,
it's considered lucky, when you did that,
yeah.
and to did that, at the match point, at like the deciding point, it's skills. It just happened in writing, in fiction.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty lame.
I don't really appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's lame. Whatever. Like, I was just like, what the entire tennis thing. I was like, I don't really
Actually,
care.
this make me want to watch Haikyuu. I
Yeah,
might put some Haikyuu to watch.
Haikyuu's cool, dude.
Much more, much more interesting, but more entertaining.
Um, I mean, I expect more from Hoshiai no Sora than I do from Haikyuu, and I don't know if that's fair or
Yeah,
anything, but the whole money thing, the whole kids, like parental abuse thing,
yeah,
the whole kind of social dysfunction thing, all these elements of the story and of the characters that it introduced early on. I was like, oh man, yes, this is gonna be the Evangelion of tennis anime.
ups.
Let's do it. I'm ready. But it has not been that. I mean, maybe we have 5 more episodes to go. That's honestly plenty of time. But
Yep, yep, true.
but
Well, at least I can say that the character writing is consistent. Like all the characters are pretty consistent to their action. The drama is a bit, doesn't match very well with the content of the sport.
yeah, I agree with that. It feels like two different shows.
Yeah. But other than that, I still enjoy Hoshai no Shora.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely liked it more than Chihayafuru this week.
All right, yeah, that's a fair assessment.
But
All
I'm pretty
right,
sure I'll be back to loving Chihayafuru as long as they just dive
yeah.
into some Karuta matches. Just give me Karuta.
All right. So how do you actually compare the tennis in Hoshai no Shora to Aim for the Ace, the last 3 episodes?
Um, I mean, there's no comparison at all. Hoshiai no Sora is actually like creating these 3D backgrounds
Yep.
and like having the camera move through space and stuff and doing like weird tracking shots where they position the camera right behind the ball and follow it as it crosses the court and
Yep. Yep.
meanwhile aim for the ace is struggling to depict any sort of back and forth between two players with
Right.
one notable exception. In one of these episodes there was a scene which the show reused several times, which had it had the camera, as you would watch a tennis match on television. It had the camera positioned back, overlooking the entire court, from
Yep.
behind one of the two players.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we actually
And the
did
two
watch characters like
players
run back
stand
and
like in the
forth.
middle. Yeah,
No,
in
they
the middle of the court, run back and forth.
yeah, and hit the ball back and forth to each other. When I saw that, I was like, "Damn, they're really they're really trying."
Yeah, they
Uh,
try. They try.
yeah, and I mean they reused that scene at least once. Um,
Several times. I remember several times.
yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, it would be great if they had animated that originally with like headless characters,
Yep.
um, so that they could just put on a new face and a new hairstyle, and they could do it for every match.
Yep. All right. So last week I mentioned about the um let's call incredible. No, it's not incredible. It's just
Unbelievable,
it's like unbelievable of
ridiculous.
yeah, ridiculous of one girl who like serve and busting the ball while she serve.
Yes,
This
that factored into the start of this episode.
yeah, this 3 episode I can on top of my head I can tell you at least like unbelievable things.
Oh, really? What were they?
Heightened drama. First is in the middle of the tennis court. We mentioned that before. In the middle of the tennis court, Madame Butterfly got hit by the soccer ball.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah. I was thinking you were going to talk more about Lady Orchid, the one who was busting the balls. Um,
Um,
but yeah,
all
her getting
right.
hit with the soccer ball. I honestly loved that scene so much because it just made me laugh. It was so dumb, and it was depicted
Yeah,
so dramatically. It just made me
yeah.
laugh. Like
That
I don't know
all
why
right.
old anime gets a pass. Where if I mean if newer anime were to do it, I'd be like, this is some bullshit. Dropped, you know.
Yeah,
I'm dropping this. When Aim for the Ace does it, I'm like, this is so awesome. I love it.
yeah. I wonder why. All right. The second is how on earth that they play the player on the same school play in the first match together against each other.
Uh, didn't they say that there was some sort of repairing? Like one of the schools dropped out, so they had to restructure the bracket.
Yeah, that doesn't explain though. You see like in Chihayafuru, whenever like the player on the same club uh fight each other, they will do the rearrange.
Right, but the thing about Chihayafuru is that it's not a bracket. Or is it?
It's a
I
bracket.
guess it has to be a bracket. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not. So it's not Swiss rounds. Yeah. Well, I don't know, dude. Maybe they just don't care that much
yeah,
about women's tennis. They're like, only the men's tennis really matters.
yeah.
Oh,
That
two girls
that is true.
in the women's, they're 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 facing each other. They're from the same school. Ah, they're just girls. Who cares? I don't know.
Yeah. I
I
actually
mean,
forgot the third thing.
oh, okay. Well, then, hey, only two terribly dramatic and convenient moments in 3 episodes. I'd say that's pretty good.
Oh, all right. The third one will hit me back sometimes. So let's just
Oh, how
continue.
about the cat using a camera?
Oh yeah. Well,
The scene
that's
where she's
charming.
taking pictures of her cat, and then the cat like picks up the camera and starts taking photos of her.
Yeah,
I thought that was very surreal. Like I
yeah.
appreciated it. It was really cartoony. It was bizarre. Um, but that's the thing about all the scenes that are set in Hiromi's room. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of exist in a different reality from everything else. Uh,
That's true.
not just in the fact that she is afforded the ability to monologue, but also like the way that
Yep.
they're portrayed. Until episode 9, actually, the all the scenes in her room seem to be existing in kind of a dream world. But in episode 9,
Mm-hmm.
the direction of the series changed a lot. I felt like the for one thing, the line art for the characters was way cleaner. So we had a different episode director or animation
Mm-hmm.
director join the show. I think with this episode, and there were some
Oh,
shots in her room of like bird's eye views where we got kind of we were looking down at the bed and you could see like the wall angled to meet the floor
yep. Yep.
in a way that makes it much more of a physical space than it was before. So I thought that was something
And
interesting to note. Not sure how much of a fan I am of that decision.
yeah. And do you remember like they have a shot exactly like in Road of Versailles where they will the shot angle is from the fire, the fireplace.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, yeah. That's true. That was in Rose of Versailles. With it wasn't Dewberry, was it? It was the
Newberry,
other.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was it Dewberry? Okay, not the other woman.
It could be oh my gosh, someone sisters. Yeah, well, I think it's Newberry.
Okay.
Um, I remember the third point. By the
Oh, what
way,
was it? What is it?
it's when right after she got hit by the soccer ball, the coach came actually tear her clothes
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I don't
Oh,
even know
I have a theory. I have
why
a
the
theory
heck
about that.
he did that. All right, tell me please.
I mean, you remember last week I pointed out that, or I speculated
Yep.
that Madame Butterfly is probably in love with the coach
Yep.
because of the whole gunbuster parallel. Like
Yep. Yep.
I would not have known that if not for watching that. I think that they may already be in a sexual relationship.
And two of them.
Yeah, Madame Butterfly and the coach. And so
Wow.
he runs over and he tears the sleeve off. Obviously it's still wildly inappropriate. But I think that he may have felt like
Protecting her.
well, yeah, kind of, but also he may have felt like he had the right to do it, or he
Right.
may not have considered the implications of what he was doing. I think that it's possible that Butterfly is already like at the very least romantically involved with the coach.
Wow.
Because
All right.
we do get like all the characters hate Hiromi for like suspecting her of the same
Wait.
thing. Like
Yep.
she goes to the restaurant with the coach before the tournament, and everyone's like, "What were you doing with them out so late at night?" But Butterfly is the only one who is not like jumping on this bandwagon of we hate Hiromi. And I think one of the reasons for that could be that she understands that's not what's going on. She's the like
Wow.
she knows the coach better than all the other players.
Ooh,
So
that's scandalous.
yeah, that's my take.
That that makes sense. But it actually just make me laugh a lot because I can only see one way in which he can be allowed to rip her sleeve off is that she got bitten by a snake.
Well, she got bitten by a
and
soccer ball.
and this is a soccer ball to begin with. So what the hell that he why he did that?
And you're really fixated on the soccer ball. I mean,
Oh my god!
the scene was it like when she gets hit with it, the screen kind of spins. So they either spun the camera that was filming the celluloid, or
Yeah,
on the like animation table they rotated the frame.
yeah.
And then like the dramatic organ music starts playing in the background, and everyone like gasps.
Bing.
It's
Yep.
like to me that's just pure comedy. I love that stuff. And like to be fair, when I said that modern anime wouldn't get a pass for it, but Aim for the Ace would. Like Aim for the Ace, I think knows that it's super dramatic. If you think
Yep.
about it, I mean, despite the fact that it was made 45 years ago, it was a different time. People had different like artistic sensibilities. These are still adults making this product, like this work of animation. It's still adults who are making it.
Mhm.
So it's not as though we have like a whole bunch of like really dramatic kind of unaware children who are like, man, it would be so awesome if
Mhm.
the screen like spins around when she gets hit by the soccer ball. I mean, Dazaki knows that this is pretty nuts. And I think that if modern anime were to actually like you would only I think if a modern series were to take this sort of approach, you would only appreciate it if it were like, for example, a Pop Team Epic or an Asobi
Yep.
Asobase, something that is like
Uh,
off the wall.
yep. Like I mentioned last week, JoJo Bizarre Adventures.
Yeah, that's another good example. Like something that has the awareness to stage a scene like that, and then continue on, like bringing that into the canon of the series and just being like, oh,
So
that's just another thing that can happen in this show. What are you going to do about it?
so I actually like couple with what you said last week as well. What you asked me last week is that is it intentional that the show does the show know about their being overly dramatic?
Yeah.
Um, I'm still not sure about that. I'm still not sure if they know what they're doing or they know that it's super dramatic or they just I don't know, man.
Come on, dude. Like Just think about, like, put yourself in the animation studio, in the film room, when someone is like literally spinning around the camera or the cell of that image. I mean, it was likely the camera, because when they had those workstations where they filmed the cells, like they were kind of clamped down. There was a clamp at the top so that all the cells would be aligned at a perfect, like perfectly straight on the table. So they likely when the guy who was spinning the camera around, do you think that he thought to himself, "Oh man, this is like so dramatic and awesome. This is gonna blow people's minds." No, he was thinking, most likely.
I actually
What?
that he might think like that,
No, I don't know, dude. I mean, this 45 years, that's like 2 generations. I don't think 2 generations is long enough for all adults to be essentially be like children. Like,
All right,
oh man, this is
just
so
I
cool.
just
Camera spinning.
I I just sent you another screen cap.
A person who has a
See
murderous
if
serve.
murderous.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my.
she's the best. She's Lady Orchid, bro. Get with it.
All right.
You better respect her, or she's gonna, you know, she's gonna bust a tennis
She
ball
gonna
on your head.
she gonna serve me to that.
That's right.
Murderous.
She'll use your head like a tennis ball and pop you with a racket. You'll go
All
flying.
right. Oh my god.
I actually really like Lady Orchid's character design.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, her height, kind of her like bushy hair, a little bit less feminine than a lot of the other characters on the series. So if you're looking at it through like typical genre coding, you or gender coding rather, you get the sense that she's like stronger than the other characters. She's also more imposing because of her height. She also has like a furrowed brow and kind of a smirk. She's often smirking when she's playing tennis. I just think she projects like skill and strength in most of her scenes. So I think she has a really effective design.
All right. I have never think of that. That's a good take.
She's cool.
Yeah.
And she also she pops back up in one of these episodes, doesn't she? Where does she pop back up?
When Hiromi plays again Madame Butterfly, she pop back up to just I think she mentioned something about Hiromi. Oh, Hiromi have to face Madame Butterfly. Like because Hiromi was about to run away.
As usual.
As usual, yep. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what show do you think I'm about to compare Aim for the Ace to?
Rosa for Sales?
No. Evangelion.
Right. Why?
Because that's one of the major themes of Evangelion. Shinji.
Yeah.
Like he attempts multiple times to run away from Nerve, like from his duty as a pilot.
All right.
Like he even when he's in the cockpit of the Ava, he chants to himself, like he says, "I mustn't run away. I mustn't run away. I mustn't run away." And I mean that's exactly what Hiromi does. Like before the match with Lady Orchid,
Right.
she goes back into the tunnel there, whatever that's called.
All right. Regarding how like Gunbuster were influenced by M for the Ace, I'm not gonna be surprised if Hiromi was Shinji role models.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, so like Anno drew a lot of inspiration from. Anno's a huge nerd, so he drew inspiration from a lot of different places. I mean, a lot of it came from Gundam and Ideon, and like Tomino's works, which probably had similar themes to aim for the ace. I mean, I recently watched 0079, the original Gundam, and there is an arc where Amuro, the main character, runs away. He abandons the ship he where he's serving, like the ship that holds all the Gundam and the gun tank and all the different robots and stuff. He runs away. And I mean, honestly, I feel as though that's like a big thing in Japanese culture is the dichotomy between like doing your duty and running away. Like you often hear anime characters say to themselves, "I guess I just have to do what I can do." It's all about like fulfilling your responsibilities and not shying away from the things that you're called on to do. So I mean, it's not really a surprise. I mean, given the culture that all of these shows are arising from, not a surprise that they have that shared DNA, I suppose.
And how do you feel about the coach?
I mean, he's a total bastard.
Yeah, well, I agree. There is a moment where like they held up the meeting,
The council.
the council. Yeah, and he actually just sit there, didn't say anything.
Yeah,
And
with
then,
his arms crossed and his eyes closed. Yeah.
yeah, Jesus, I just don't want to be, like I don't want to be like him. I don't want to be like a coach that is oh my god. He have like only the negative things that I used to complain about coach. Oh my god, this coach. Favorism.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely showing favoritism. Although Hiromi has started to, we've seen her practicing a lot, and she has started to improve.
Yep. And she actually started to enjoy playing as well, practicing.
Who?
Hiromi.
Oh yes, yeah. She has like thought to herself multiple times, tennis has started to become fun.
Yep.
She probably appreciates what the coach has done for her on some level, but at the same time, she literally, here we go, running away again. She tries to run away when they're at the restaurant together. She tries to sneak out. We get that shot of the him in the background sitting at the booth with the tables in the foreground, and she's using them as camouflage to like crawl out of the restaurant.
Yeah.
She's obviously not so thankful for his guidance that she's gonna have a meal with him. I mean, he's still horrible.
Yep. All right. All right. Do you have any other notes on M for the Ace?
I mean, we did not talk that much about the actual tennis, probably because the actual tennis is not much to write home about.
I was into the on the tennis tournaments more in the last batch than this one.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, there's not much tennis in this one, right? They lose to Kaga, the other high school, from what I remember.
Yeah. Oh, no. They won. They actually won. It's just Hirumi and one other girl who lose, so they won 3-2.
Yeah, I was confused about that because the coach does say the two of you that lost, you better shape up or whatever. But before that, doesn't he say that they were only able to take 2 victories? That's obviously really weird because there are 5 players, but
yeah. I think they win 3-2.
Okay, I think there might have been an issue with my subs.
Yep.
But
yep.
Yeah, so they win and yippee. And then in episode 9, Hiromi has to fight against, she has to face Butterfly in a match, and she gets totally swept.
Yep.
She's able to force Butterfly to use her full strength, and so the
All
coach
right.
is like, even though you lost, you actually won.
All right. I I want to mention that as well. That match. How
Yeah.
many points did you think Hiromi win?
Um. Did she win one?
Yeah, she won one, and that's it. So the whole match is like 6-0.
Yeah.
Hiromi won one match, and the coach considered that a success. Because
She didn't win one match. She didn't even win a game. She won a
yeah, she didn't
point.
win. She didn't win a game.
She won a
She
point.
won one single point out of the whole match, and the coach thought of that as a success
Yeah.
because of whatever reason. Oh my god, that's just a sub.
I've seen that I forced you to use your full strength, so I actually won. I've seen that in a lot of anime. A lot of shonen anime actually
Yep.
do that. And I mean, I think that goes back to Japan's weird obsession with winning and losing. Like their definitions of the words are not the same as the ones that I use,
Yep.
for example. They apply those
Mhm.
terms to like romantic triangles. Somebody wins and somebody loses. And when people are having a conversation and someone is like when someone acknowledges the other person's point of view, they
Yep.
say like
You win.
yeah, like or it's my loss. Like the literal terminology they use is it's my loss. And I
Huh.
it's on the tip of my tongue how to say it in Japanese, but I can't quite remember. It's like maketa or something,
Huh. Yep.
meaning like it's my loss. And kata means
Hmm.
to win. So omae wa kata, like I think that's how you would say, oh you win. They just seem to have a much different application for those terms than Western audiences would
Yep.
understand, I suppose. I don't totally understand it, obviously.
Right.
But yeah,
Hmm.
in any case, like it's really weird that the show is celebrating. I mean, Hiromi has not reached a point yet where there can be any other takeaway, like any other positive takeaway. She got smashed,
Yep.
but she forced Butterfly to use her full strength. So I suppose that this is supposed to foreshadow what the coach saw in her in episode 1 or whenever that was. And maybe we'll be getting some of that soon. Maybe she'll like take a game from
Yep.
next time she plays Butterfly or some other really powerful player. The set will be like 6-1. Which
Yeah.
that would actually be like some significant progress, I think, if she were able to take a full game in a set.
That's right. Phew. Oh my god, every day is it. I just never cease to to be. I'm always in surprise when watching the shows of all the heightened drama.
Hell yeah.
All right.
I'm about done.
Should we? Yeah, should we wrap up?
Sure.
All right. Thank you for listening, guys. That's about it. We only have like a month left before like this season going to end, and we that will come to like the end of the year and the end of the decade as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We got to finalize that list. Got to finalize
Right.
those top 50 lists. Got to get that top 30 list in order. But we're not going to do that next week. I think we'll get to that
Yep.
when the time is right.
All right. All right. So bye for now, and have a good week ahead.
Take care.